Hey guys, I'm Michael, and we are back one day later than expected with the final episode in our What Sold 7 Days series. My wife, Kendall, and I, if you're new here, we both sell full time on eBay. And on Mondays, we typically show you guys the top 20 sales of the previous week's sales. But this past week, every single day, I've posted a video going over every single sale that we have had over the course of an entire week. And so if you like this style of video, I will have links in the description over those other 6 days. Those were the exact same style as this one, and a lot of great information on what we are not picking up anymore, what we are picking up, the bread and butters, the good stuff, the great stuff, everything. You guys literally saw everything that we sold within a week. So love the support that you guys have been giving throughout that series. And if you are now here for only the what solds, the timeline below, you can skip this next part of the intro. Timeline below is there for you if you want to skip to the what sold part. So for those of you who are interested in this part, I had someone who wanted to see the before and afters of the laundry room renovation that we had been working on, which I mentioned in the last video. So we here, I'm going to throw them up as I go through talking here for a few minutes and show you guys the before and afters of that project. But we've done a lot of other projects over the course of the year. We run the eBay stuff in the mornings and the days, and then on the weekends and stuff, we do home renovation stuff because we bought a house a year and 2 months ago. My wife and I did right whenever we got married, and it was a full fixer-upper house, like full fixer-upper. Now it wasn't like the rooms had to go to the studs and re-sheetrock and all that, besides the kitchen, but everything needed to be done: flooring, wall, like a paint. I mean, the list is way long on the amount of stuff that we had to do. But we got a great deal on the house, and we're making it into a house that we are going to love and enjoy. And we do enjoy figuring out these problems that we run into with renovations and stuff. The laundry room, the reason why the video came out a day late, the laundry room we thought was going to take only a day to do. But then I made a miscut on one of the baseboards, and we were short material on finishing that. So rolled into the next day, had to get another baseboard for it, and also install the wall shelves and a few other things that were just like finishing up, like touching up areas on the paint jobs on the baseboards and stuff. So hope you guys are interested in this part of the intro. I know someone requested it, so I wanted to throw it in here. So we're going to get into the what sold video. If you guys liked this part of the intro, I can show you guys some of the past projects that we've done, the before and afters, and the future ones that we plan to do. I think next weekend we're doing the fence. The whole fence needs to be replaced. So going to get into that stuff, but let's get into the what sold video and show you guys what sold on Sunday. So to get us started, we had a Travis Matthew polo sell. It was a size large, really nice pattern on the front here. We usually like to pick up these Travis Matthews that have like stripes and stuff like that. The solid ones, not so much unless we're getting them really cheap, but this one also had a little embroidery on the cuff. So ended up selling at a best offer of $15.14. If you're new here, I end up telling you guys the price that the buyer paid for just the item, not including shipping and sales tax. So the number I'm giving you is either this price, or if it was a best offer, the best offer that we accepted or sent. So this one ended up doing a best offer 10% off at $15.14. Next, we've got a FootJoy polo size 2XL. We did not see these flaws in the thrift store, which did decrease the value, but 2XL FootJoy polos, no matter what they look like, we usually pick up if the price is right, as the sell-through rate on the 2XL ones is higher by a lot than the ones that are smaller than that. But we mostly try to stick to the pattern stuff, whether it's paisley, geometric, or whatever. This one probably was $3 at a thrift store and ended up selling for $15. And I'll try to tell you guys how long these sell for. Sometimes I'll forget to, but this one ended up selling within 3 months, and the Travis Matthew took 6 to 7 months to sell. So next we've got a PXG. I think this is like it's just a hybrid golf head cover. But this is basically free. Long story, I'm not going to bore you guys, but I got this a year ago, and it's been just sitting in the closet, maybe 2 years ago. And it's just been sitting in my closet, and I found it in a box, so I listed it. But it was part of a huge buyout that I did at a thrift store, and yeah, ended up selling for the best offer of $12 plus shipping. Next, we've got Magnani loafers. My wife, Kendall, found these while she was down in Houston visiting a friend. Really nice pair of Magnani loafers. Were in pretty good condition. Had this little buckle here, or whatever you want to call that. That was pretty cool looking. And these ended up selling for a best offer of $48, and they sold within a week or two. Next, we've got a Columbia PFG This is the Super Tamiyami. I don't know how to pronounce that, but Columbia PFG with a Texas Rangers logo. I believe that's the Rangers logo. Yeah, Texas Rangers logo on it. I'm not a big sports fan, so logos I'm not really good with. But anyways, we usually pick up the PFG stuff, the Columbia short sleeve, long sleeve PFGs if they're really cheap, $4 or less, sometimes even cheaper than that, depending on the size and stuff. But this one ended up being it's in between an XL and a 2XL. This is probably an XL, honestly, because their stuff sometimes runs a little big since it's like a vented, like flowy shirt. But this one actually is not vented. But anyways, long story short, we usually do buy these shirts if they're cheap enough. This one ended up selling at a best offer of $19.67, just a bread and butter for us. Usually always pick these up. So yeah. Next, we've got a Hook shirt. A lot of people call it Huck. It's actually pronounced Hook, I believe. So ended up being a new with tags hoodie. It's a men's, the Icon X line, and it sold for a best offer of $27.99. Had an MSRP of $55 on it. It is new with defects, actually, so a little fading here and what looks to be like 2 small holes, probably from some sort of price tag in the past from the thrift store or something. So this one ended up taking 2 months to sell, 2 to 3 months. Yeah, 2 to 3 months, and yeah. Next, we got a Tommy Bahama solid black with like a leaf. I don't know if you call that embossment or what style it is, but it's got a leaf print on it. And it's got a little flaw here on the sleeve, but ended up selling for $22.44, the full ask price. I don't know. I think this is an armpit like fading area that we're showing here. These solid black ones usually do pretty well for us, as in pretty well. I mean, they have like the highest sell-through rate for us typically. So it seems to be one of the best colors they have for used clothing whenever it comes to demand. So we usually always pick up the solid black Tommy Bahama stuff. Another side note that I've made in every one of these videos is that not everything we show we will recommend picking up. Almost everything, basically, you guys should be looking up and doing your research if you do find a brand that we speak of in this video, as category to category, sell-through rates and prices change, and everyone's store can sell items differently whenever it comes to sell-through rate. Our store typically can sell through things higher than most stores because of the way we have the business model set up. And so just because we pick something up does not mean that it's a great buy or a good buy or a bad buy. So do your own research, figure out what's good based off of the metrics that you have set in place in your business model. And yeah, and I'll let you guys know if we have something in this What Sold that I'm like, do not pick this up. I'll let you guys know that we don't pick it up anymore as I usually do. So next we've got a Tommy Bahama floral camp shirt. Just bread and butter again for us. Had some flaws. We're trying to do better about catching flaws, but sometimes like this flaw, for example, would be very hard to see in the thrift store with the low lighting. Someone commented that in the last video that the lighting in the thrift store suck. I totally agree. I replied saying I sometimes believe I need a headlamp in these thrift stores to see some of these flaws. It's so dingy and dark sometimes. So it's not possible to find every flaw, but especially these ones until you get it underneath direct sunlight or direct lighting. But still, good sale, $17.92 it sold for. Really can't complain whenever it has that many little yellow flaws and stuff like that, but a beautiful shirt nonetheless. Another Tommy Bahama sale, $18.28 was the sale price, the ask price. This one ended up selling within a long time. It took 8 months. The previous Tommy Bahama only took 2 months to sell. But yeah, this one looks even better with no flaws. So I guess people just didn't want this pattern. We decreased price as time goes on. So after 8 months, probably listed this at like $25, and after 8 months it hit $18, and someone took the offer or took the buy. Another Columbia with the UT logo. We do like to look up these Columbias that have logos, as you've seen now so far in this video. This is the second one with a logo that's sports related, and we like to look these up and see the sell-through rate on the sports team. This one is pretty decent, I guess, and it ended up selling for $16.13 at a best offer. So pick these up for $3, $4 here and there, and after all said and done, we try to aim to make $10 profit on these items. Next, we've got a Nat Nast, which some of you might think that this brand is not good, and you would be correct if you heard that a year ago. 2 or 3 years ago, this was an amazing brand to sell, and then it fell off for about a year. So last year, it was not super great to sell, in my opinion, and now it's come back. So it's the fastest rotation down and back up I've seen in clothing for a category or for a brand. So these are selling right now in our store for $25 to $35 all day and within typically a month. This one ended up selling within 2 weeks. And I'm talking about these 100% silk ones that are this luxury originals line, and also is more of this like bowling style embroidered shirt, whether it has stripes up and down here or whatever. These shirts are doing pretty good for us. And yeah, so this one ended up selling, like I said, $26.99, best offer at 10% off. Next, we've got a cuts polo with a couple of flaws. We found 4 or 5 of these at the same time at the same thrift. All of them have sold besides this one, and this is the last one to have sold, and it sold for $16.76, so a best offer of 10% off yet again. If you're seeing a pattern, we like to try to only do 10% off on listings. Typically, the most we'll do is 15%, unless the item's been sitting for a long time. Then we'll hit the 20 and 25% mark just to get it out of the store. Next, we've got someone who bought 2 RLX size small striped golf polos. The size small RLX striped polos surprisingly has a 50% sell-through rate, whereas the brand as a whole for polos has less than like a 25% sell-through rate, might even be 10%. RLX is not a great brand to buy, but there are little caveats to the polo line. RLX polos is not a great brand to buy, but there are caveats like this being a striped size small that increases the sell-through rate. So this guy bought both of these, got 10% off since he bought both in the same order, and ended up paying $49.74 for the 2 polos. Now that I actually see that, I don't think the 10% off applied to him. So he actually paid full price for both of these polos. So $49.78, and then with shipping and everything, he ended up paying $61.43. Next, we've got a 100% linen Ralph Lauren blue plaid, super cool item. Sold within 2 months, and this ended up selling at a best offer of $25. I'm starting to notice that the linen long sleeve Ralph Lauren's are slightly going down in value, but it is not a big deal. They're still selling for close to $30, around hovering that price, $25 to $40 depending on what you've got. But yeah, it's just a bread and butter Ralph Lauren linen stuff for us. Next, we've got an Untuckit small, horrible size for Untuckit, by the way. We have sat on a lot of Untuckits in the past that were size small and never ended up selling, so we pulled them, and they weren't selling at like $10, and there was no flaws with them. So actually, I don't know if we ended up pulling. I think we sold through all of them, but they were selling at like $10. So size small, not a great size whatsoever, especially on top of that being slim fit, but the nylon elastane material within the article of clothing probably did help this sale, making it sell for $17 at a best offer and selling within a week, surprisingly. So hit or miss, you just got to find the right buyer sometimes with these slow sell-through rate items, but majority of the times, size small Untuckits do not do super well from my understanding, at least from what I have experienced in the past. Next, we've got a pair of Hoka Bondi 8s. I love picking up this new line of shoe they have. I don't mind spending up on these things and making $20, $30 on the flip because they sell so quick. Typically within the month, these things sell, if not a week. So these ended up selling for the full ask price of $70. And yeah, probably paid about $20 to $30 for these. And yeah, they're just super great. Women's size 11B as well. So not an amazing size being that big at size 11. Next, we've got Charles Twite. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is just something that we're experimenting with. The sell-through rate on these shirts is not high. I know they're not high. It's like 25%, but they are selling through our store okay. So we buy them very cheap, $3, $4 at most. And it's got to be certain sizes and patterns and stuff we're starting to learn. So I do not recommend picking up this one if you are new to eBay or even intermediate, as the sell-through rate, again, is not super high, and there are much better items to flip out there in the wild. So this one ended up selling for the full ask price of $20.63, which I believe is the most we've ever gotten for a Charles Twite, just FYI. So you usually get around $15 to $19 for them, I think. Next, we've got an UFOs pair of clogs. I haven't found many UFOs in the past, but ended up finding these cool ones, listing them at $50. And they ended up selling at a best offer of $42. So I believe that's like 16, 17% off. Was fine to take an offer like that. They sold within 2 weeks. So UFOs is a great brand. They make like recovery slides and stuff like that, I believe. So next, we've got a Task t-shirt. My wife found this one at a Goodwill for $4 just recently. And maybe $2 on a half off day. I'm not sure. But at most $4, and it ended up selling for the full ask price of $18.86 within 2 weeks. Had a little hole here from classic Goodwill, sticking tags through sleeves and clothing pieces. Went in one side, came out the back. Great job, Goodwill. Next, we've got an Ariat button-down shirt. It is a size XL, solid blue, 100% cotton, not the Pro Series. These are starting to go down in value. They used to sell for $29, $30. Now they're sitting around the $20 to $25 mark, if not less than that. So be careful with the Ariat shirts. They are going down in sell-through rate, and they are going down in value. But this ended up selling for a best offer of $22.38, and it sold within a month. We do still buy Ariat, just not for as much as we used to, which it's harder to come by because the thrift stores price it up so much. Next, we've got a Chubby's short sleeve floral button shirt, size XL. Really cool item, really nice pattern, and it ended up selling. Took an eternity to sell, surprisingly. I think Chubby's has really fallen off over the past couple of years. We'll probably need to start doing more research on this brand, actually thinking about it and looking at this. But ended up selling in 9 months for $24.36. So the ask price, again, we decreased price over time. So we probably listed this really high, and it just sat and sat and sat. Now going into summer, at this price point, it finally sold. So glad to get it out. Next, we've got a pair of Primo joggers or pants. So Primo is a golf brand. A lot of golf YouTubers are sponsored by the company, and they wear it a lot, like Grant Horvat, for example. And so really good. I'm going to be honest. I don't love the quality of these pants, but the sell-through rate I love. The sell-through rate is amazing on these pants. It's over 100%. It might be 300 or 400 if I'm not mistaken, depending on what size you have and stuff. But they ended up selling within a month, and they sold for a best offer of $45. So I think all their pants have this elastic band here that looks like this, the black and white stripes. So it's pretty easy to spot them in the thrift store. I've found 4 or 5 just looking down the racks quickly and seeing that band in the bunch of stuff. So next, we've got a stitch quarter zip, which is actually being returned to us. The guy who bought it said that he just didn't like the fit. So ended up selling for $26.99 at a best offer, but it is coming back to us, and we will relist it and resell it. Next, we've got Grayson, a really cool, I'd call this probably a check pattern, size XL, just a polo with a, I don't know what country club it is, so if you know, leave it in the comments below, because I find this logo a lot on clothing. But this ended up selling in 9 months, so listed this way too high last year, and the brand has gotten pushed into Marshall's, Home Goods, TJ Maxx, like I've said in the past videos, over the past year, and so the value of their used clothing has dropped dramatically over the past 12 months. So at the time we listed this, we listed it on the higher side of the market whenever the stuff was selling well, and then it just fell off throughout the year. And so we have been decreasing on top of them decreasing their prices, leading to it sitting for a long time and finally selling for $34.99. So still a high dollar flip for what it's worth today. But all right, this guy bought actually 2 of these ties. They're just not in the order because he bought them like an hour apart. But he bought both of these Vineyard Vines ties for $19 and $18 free ship. This was part of that bulk buyout lot. Vineyard Vines ties typically do not sell super well on eBay. They do not have high sale prices, and the sell-through rate is fairly low, even though they're beautiful ties that they make. But yeah, so ended up selling, again, $19, $18, and combined the shipping, it was free shipping, and it probably cost $4 to ship. So next, we've got a Robert Graham. If you saw it yesterday's, I believe, what sold, or 2 days ago's what sold. This is actually a different one. Okay, never mind. Scratch what I was about to say. Robert Graham, Modern Americana, size large, really cool pattern. Ended up selling at a best offer for $26.99. So decent sale. These Robert Grahams that are special line, like the Robert Graham X sucks, and then this one is not as good. It's just the normal Robert Graham stuff. But the pattern on this is pretty decent, and it being white with no flaws and stuff obviously increases the value. Sold within 5 months, and yeah. Next, we've got an off-the-grid pair of pants. This is a new brand to me. First time I found it. Sell-through rate on it was pretty decent, and the pricing was okay. It's at around the $25 mark, I believe, on average, maybe $23. So I listed these on the higher side at $30 and took a best offer of 25 bucks. There's the tag for you. Again, this is one of those brands definitely look up and make sure what I just said is true, because this is the only item I've ever found and I do not have much experience with this brand, but it did sell within 2 months, maybe even a month. Next, we've got a Johnny O Performance Polos, polyester spandex, geometric print. This is a type of Johnny O's we do still pick up today, but most of the Johnny O stuff is worth pennies now. So cotton material especially, but these geometric performance polos and stuff are still worth some money, especially size 2XL. This polo has literally everything going for it whenever it comes to the size, the material, the pattern, and it's still sold for $19.01. So the other stuff is not worth anything nowadays, really. So be careful with Johnny O. Make sure you're really looking up the items and finding something that is worth selling. All right, this is going to be a turnoff for a lot of you guys because it has so many flaws, but it's a purple label Ralph Lauren, so we had to buy it and try to sell it, and it did sell. Ended up selling for $35, best offer. Had stains on it. We tried washing them out, didn't work. Has holes as well all over the shirt. But it being purple label, I mean, I just cannot leave a purple label Ralph Lauren in the thrift store. That is a disgrace to the thrifting community, resale community. So it ended up selling within 2 months, 3 months. And yeah, I'm just glad that someone bought this thing. So I'm not going to go much into this. So flawed stuff, whenever it's designer like that, a polo that sells retail for 500 bucks, I'm going to try to sell it. I don't even care if I lose my $5. Next, we've got Mizzen and Main, Leeward, just the normal Mizzen and Main stuffs. White does a lot better than any other color for Mizzen and Main whenever it comes to their long sleeve button downs. Ended up selling within a few weeks and sold for the ask price of $27.42. Take that back. This actually sold in 2 months. The price got dropped 5% and it sold for $27.42. Next, we've got a built polo, really nice one too. I wish I had one that looked like this. This is a beautiful built polo. Nice coral color with the polka dot polo collar. I would love to find a shirt like this for myself. This is size XL. So ended up selling for the full ask price of $24.86 and sold in less than a month, I think. So next, we've got Travis Matthew shorts. We stopped picking up Travis Matthew shorts as we keep selling them for 13 to 14 bucks every single other day now. All the old ones we used to buy, that's now prices are dropped. So these have been listed probably for a while. Yeah, 9 months. They used to sell for $18.88, 20 bucks last year. Now they're in the $14, $13 range. So there's no money to be made, at least here in Dallas, whenever it comes to thrift store pricing versus the sale prices. So we are no longer picking this brand up, but if you are a bins shopper and you are finding Travis Matthew shorts that are completely flawless, you will probably make $10 profit on those flips if you're spending $1 on these shorts or less. So just an FYI. They do sit a long time though. Next, we've got Salt Valley, a Western brand, Pearl Snap. Shirts do pretty decent in this brand. Ended up selling within a month, within 2 months, and ended up selling at a best offer of $20. No flaws whatsoever. But yeah, we pick up Salt Valley stuff if it's like $4 or less. New brand to us, sort of. So again, look up and make sure that the sell-through rates are still good and all that. But they seem to be doing pretty decent in our store. Next, we've got a Zero Restriction Tour Series Windstopper quarter zip or a half zip. We pick up some zero restriction stuff, but not a lot of it. Most of it's pretty bad, and some of it is pretty good, or pretty decent, I should say. None of it's like super high dollar. I know Resale Bros sold like $150 or $200 like full pant and top that was Gore-Tex and stuff, but finding stuff like that is pretty rare in the thrift store. Whenever it comes to what you normally find these Tour Series Q-zips and their polos and stuff like that, and they just are all over the board when it comes to sell-through rate and pricing. So make sure you do your research. This sold for $29.50. Next, we've got a Brooks Brothers with a lot of flaws, but it's a Makers shirt. So Brooks Brothers Makers, pretty good line that they have. It's a vintage line. Typically, I think all of them are made in the USA. And this ended up taking 3 months to sell and sold for a best offer of $16.19. So even with the flaws, still got $16.19. Look at that. $16.19 plus shipping. So one that is flawless probably sells for around 25 bucks, I would guess. So Brooks Brothers Makers, be on the lookout for that. Next, we've got Abercrombie and Fitch women's shorts. I'm not going to talk about this item. As you guys know, if you're regular watchers, my wife likes to pick up some women's clothing here and there while I'm checking out in line, typically. And these ended up selling in less than a month for the full ask price, $26.99. So I don't know anything about women's clothing, really, honestly, and she knows a little bit about it. So I'm not going to speak on something I don't know about. Next, we've got FootJoy, a new Attacks FootJoy polo with a bunch of ugly embroideries on it that are complete turnoffs to buyers, but ended up selling for $21.99. So probably paid less than $3 at the thrift store, because whenever there's embroideries like this, they price them dirt cheap to move them. And yeah, it took almost a year to sell. So we'll not be picking up this item again, as those embroideries are complete turnoffs, like I said. But I'm glad it sold for $22. Cannot complain. Cannot complain. A sale is a good sale. Anything that sells is a good sale, as long as you make money. And we made money on that sale. So next, we've got another Zero Restriction Tour Series. As you see, we like to pick up the Tour Series stuff. Just a vest. Ended up selling in less than a week. Had flaws. Not a big deal. Golfers are going to destroy their clothing anyways, being out in the mud and golf courses and swinging metal rods around. So next, we've got a Mizzen again, size large, just a blue. I think that's a Glen check plaid, honestly, but I didn't put that in the title. This is sold for $28.49, the full ask price, and sold within a month. Next, we've got Tommy Bahama. No, that's actually sold within 2 months. Sorry, not a month. Next, we've got Tommy Bahama, red with a leaf, sort of like that first or second item. First Tommy Bahama we had in this video. Just red this time, and it ended up selling for $24.87. So good sale. Had a little flaw here, that little nick, nothing crazy. So ended up selling within a month. Next, we've got a Peter Millar belt. So I found 2 of these at a thrift store for I think $4 a piece or something like that. And the other one sold, and then this one now finally sold, and it sold for $39.99. So good sale, $4 into 40, and sold within 2 months. So great, and cannot complain. Next, we've got Wallace & Barnes. Wallace & Barnes is a pretty good brand in general. This one had some flaws, so it didn't go for as much money, some fading. But we actually just sold today a Wallace & Barnes, I think like a canvas button-up or canvas jacket, shacket, I don't know. But it ended up selling for $60. So Wallace & Barnes does have things in their line that's worth a lot of money, and then some of it is worth, just $30. Sorry about that. Just like $30 whenever it comes to their button downs, sometimes 40, depending on what you've got. So be on the lookout for Wallace & Barnes. There's the tag. Lastly, we have a tie sale. We have a Robert Talbot Best of Class, really cool blue geometric print, and it ended up selling for the ask price of $39.89. So really high sale price, free shipping though. So FYI, free shipping on our ties, and it sold within a month, I think. So really good sale. Typically, in all honesty, I don't even know why this was listed at $40. I would have probably listed this at like $30, $35, unless something I saw whenever I made this listing was better. But typically, we end up getting around $25 to $35 for these ties that look like this. No clue why I listed it on the higher side and why it sold for a higher price, but it did. So cannot be unhappy about that one. And yeah, so that concludes the final episode of the What Sold series. If you have not checked out the previous ones and you're new here, or you just didn't know that I just posted 6 videos back to back, go check them out. A lot of cool stuff, same style as this. A lot of knowledge in those items that it sold over the past week that I give you guys on what to buy, what not to buy. Just my opinions on what to buy and not what to buy, and what we're buying today and not buying. The good sales, the bad sales, everything in between. So go check those out if you didn't go see those. And if you do like this style, subscribe. We give you guys a ton of brand knowledge as much as we can. And I'll catch you guys in whatever video comes out next.